Hi you guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I've got another video for you. So this time we're going to be learning how to go from one activity in Android Studio to another at the click of a button. So here we've got an example of what I'm going to be showing you. So we've got our first activity here, and we just need to click a button, and this will take us to our second activity. I've also added a few extras for you guys here. So if we go back to our first activity, we get a little toast at the bottom here which just says back to the first activity, and I've also got an edit text here, which means we can put in anything we like. So let's just say hello, and then when we go back to the next activity we can take that data with us. So there it says hello. So if you're interested in learning about this, it's called intent. Stick with me and I'll show you how to do this for your application. So the first thing we'll do is we'll play about with our main activity XML. So this is going to be the layout for our first activity. So that will include a title at the top here just saying first activity, an edit text, and a button which will take us to our next activity when pressed. So we'll go to the text tab and we'll get rid of the text view which is there at the moment. So in the interest of saving time watching this video, what I'll do, instead of going through how I made each of these layouts, I'll just show you the text so you can copy it if you desire to. So just have the title, the edit text, and the button. The next thing we want to do is to make our second activity. So what we want to do is just right click here, go new, and go activity, and go empty activity. What we call this is our second activity. Finish. So it's just syncing up at the moment. When we get a second activity, we'll get a second activity class, and we'll also get a second activity XML. For our second activity, it's very similar. We have the title, the button, and the text view, which is going to grab our put extra from the original intent. Okay, all looks good. So what we'll do now is we'll go into our main and second activity classes and we'll wire it all up. So the first thing we want to do is just to instantiate what we've got. Private, we have a text view. So we've got two text views. No, one text view in the first activity. So we'll call this first activity title. Then we have a button, which we can call first activity button. And then that's it. So what we have next is we go into our onCreate, where we can instantiate them. So we can say, oh, we have an edit text, don't we? Edit text. So we can say first activity edit text. So we'll instantiate that first. First activity edit text is an edit text, find view by ID, r.id, and it's first activity. Or is it just edit text? Maybe just edit text. Okay. And what else we've got is we've got our button. So first activity button. Type of button, find view by ID, r.id, first activity button. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the button to go to our second activity. So what we need to do is connect our button to an on-click listener. So we need to go first activity button dot set on-click listener, new on-click listener. Excellent. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using an intent, and an intent is when we go from one activity to another, or we take data from one activity to another. So I can say intent So we'll just call this intent for now, equals new intent. And what we want to do is we want to put in some data. So the data we get from our edit text, we want to take that forward to the second activity. So what we need to do, we need to say intent.put extra. And then we have a key here which we can put in as sort of a reference point to what we're going to grab when we go to our second activity. So we can just call this message. And then we actually need the content of the message. So we want the edit text string. So we say first activity edit text dot get text dot to string. Okay, that all looks good. And then after that, we just need to start the intent. So we just go start activity and we put forward the intent which we start, which is just called intent in this case. Okay, so that's all looking good. What we now need to do is go to our second activity and wire all the things up there. So let's do this in a similar sort of fashion. So private, we have a button which is going to take us home. Our second activity button. Second activity button. We've got a text view as well. We've got two text views in this case. Text view, so second activity text view, and we've got second activity text view result, which is going to be the result of our intent. Okay, that looks good. So we just go into our onCreate and we substantiate them. So we go second activity button equals button, find view by ID, r.id, second activity button. We do the same with the text result. Text view result is a text view. Find view by ID, and the second activity text view result. Oh, it's because I haven't put r.id, isn't it? Thank you, silly mistake. Okay, so obviously what we want to do is go back to our first activity from our second activity. So we need to do a similar sort of coding. So we need to go intent, and we'll call this the return intent equals new intent. So what we can say is we can say that we want to grab data as well. We want to obviously, I showed you a toast at the beginning which says welcome back to the first activity, so we can do that. So we say return activity, return intent, put extra. So this is going to be the return message. And it's going to say welcome back to first activity. Okay, that all looks good. Let me just say finish. So this doesn't say start intent, this is a return intent. So let me just think about this. So what we can do, we can go back to our first activity and we can say, we can get rid of this, and we can say start activity for result. So we can say we're carrying on the intent and we can have a request code. So all we have to do at the top here is just define our request code. So that'd be private final int request code, and we'll make that equal to 2. Okay, so if we go back to our second activity, above here we just need to say set results from our request code. So we're going to say the results were okay. And we need to set our return message, which is our return intent. Okay, awesome. So what we need to do now, so we've set our return intent, so we've got the message being sent. We need to set up in our first activity to receive the message as well. So we just need to go down here. So what we need to do is we need to get out of our onCreate, and we need to, you can right click and go generate and go to override methods, and we need activity result, so on activity result, sorry, here we go. Excellent. So all we need to do here is just say if the request code is the same as the request code we've stated, and if, what do we put up here? The result is okay, didn't we? Result okay. And if result code is equal to result okay, then we're going to set a new string called the result, and this is going to be data dot get string extra, and then what do we call it? We called it return message. So we also said we'd get it in the form of a toast. We say toast dot make text, and it's just going to be main activity dot this as the context, and we're going to take forward our result as the string. So if we say result, then we've got to say toast dot show for a long time, long length, and show. Okay, that's all looking good so far. So if we go to our second activity, we'll just make sure now that the edit text is brought forward as well. So we can say bundle, we'll call this extras, equals get intent dot get extras. So we can say if extras isn't null, that means if something, if the edit text contains text, and we'll set a string called message. That's going to be the extras dot get string, and then message. The string what we're getting is called message, I believe. Here we go, message. And then we just need to set the results text view to display that message. So we say set text, and we say to the message, which we just defined here. Okay, so that's all looking good. Let's run it and have a look. So one thing I think I've forgotten as I'm just looking at it is we haven't got our back button set out yet. So we can say onClick listener, new onClick listener. And then what we'll do is we'll make sure that we get our intent via clicking the back button. So we just need to move this into here. So it's now starting up. Let's see if we get this right first time. Okay, so we can go to our second activity. Nope, of course not. Oh yes, so I know what I've done wrong. I haven't actually specified that we're going to the next activity. So all I need to do here is go into here, and we need to go main activity dot this and say where we're going to, which is obviously our second activity. So go to the second activity, which is happy. We go back, which is happy. Says welcome back to the first activity. Let's see if we can take our string forward. So we can say CodingMark. We take that forward. Go to the second activity. Excellent. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, cheers.